This one looked okay. It's a New York strip. So around 9 o'clock this morning, I salt, pepper, oreganoed it all over. I always let it sit like this in the tray, standing up so you get more surface area. There's going to be one side that's going to be on the ground. I guess I could prop it up somehow, but that's a lot of work for a little bit of a reward. All I do now is I just take salt and I pour a layer of salt on the bottom and let it sit in that, so that covers that end. It's been sitting there. It's now 5:30. Oh. Can you imagine? I went through this whole spiel and it just boop right on the floor. But that's why I just let it sit up. And at this point, I believe, yeah, it's been sitting out for just under an hour, about 53 minutes out. I like to get it close to room temperature as possible, so that way when I cook it, half the cooking isn't trying to get it up to like room temperature, you know? So I'd like it to be realistically room temperature. But then I always worry about gambling with bacteria and things of that nature. It's still going to be a bit cold on the cast iron skillet, but it's better than it being just straight out of the fridge ice cold, because that's just, I guess it would be okay if our Trump wanted to cook it rare, but I want a little bit above rare, right into the medium rare range. So the prep takes the longest time. Prep takes, especially if I were to like, ideally, if I thought about doing this, it's Sunday when I'm recording this. I would have bought it like Thursday or Wednesday and did this whole process and let it sit in the fridge for like 3 or 4 days and really get it dried out and soft. But I mean, one day is fine. It's just one steak and it's just one YouTube video. I make them every day. So one that's sort of whatever it is. I'm not afraid of making a video that's kind of like. So I've been letting it sit for about 5 minutes at a fairly hot temperature. And this is what I'm talking about. Just instant vaporization of the water. Water goes from a liquid to a gas instantaneously. I want this thing to be boiling hot. I have the broiler on, ready to go also. It shouldn't take that long to cook this thing. The pan looks nice and hot. I put no oil or anything in the pan, not even butter. Some people like to put butter and then they baste it. I mean, I think I need to try that one day, but so far I've had pretty good luck doing it this way. So now, the easiest part, I'm gonna put this down for about 90 seconds on either side, so let's go. You want it to sizzle really loud. You want it to just be in focus like that, okay? You want it to sear on both sides, and this should just, boom, this thing, nice and flat. I don't move it. Let the oil or the grease form naturally from the fat melting off. Shouldn't be that much. It will smoke a lot, so make sure you have your vent on, a window open, whatever you need. So we are 90 seconds in. Let's go ahead and flip this guy. Ooh, wow, okay. The pan is really hot. I'm probably only going to do 45 seconds on the other side. I think we're getting to where we need to be already. Okay, this guy is ready. Let's go ahead and put him in the I almost said put him in the fridge. I could put him in the fridge, but that would be bad. Let's put it in the oven. In the oven, 2 minutes. That's all I'm going to do. This is a very thin piece of meat. I got it pretty warm, meaning up to closer to room temperature as I can. So we've not that much time. And then the hardest part is letting it sit and wait until give it 10 minutes to just really rest. So actually, I almost have to turn around and start. Timer's done. Trying to cook with a bunch of equipment and trying to film a video and blah blah blah. Oh yeah, ooh, that's not good. I think, whoa, you hear that? It's whistling. That's funny. So, here we go. It looks pretty good. It smells great. Most of that fat really melted off. There was a thicker fat cap here, but some of it melted off already, which is sort of what I'm looking for. Ooh, I don't know. I've done this before where I ruined a steak. And I barely could. I should have just kissed it with the heat and not really let it sit for any moment of time, any measure of time, or moment. I think it's measure. Anyway, this guy, the next big thing is let it sit for 10 minutes and hope I didn't screw it up too bad. Oh, I need a fork, don't I? It would help. It has been 10 minutes. And I am really hungry. It smells good if nothing else. I'm just afraid how much it shrunk. It shrunk a good, like, 1/8 of an inch. I'm afraid I may have overcooked it, so. I can do the whole YouTube spiel of, hey, I'm keeping it real and blah, blah, blah. But honestly, this is my dinner too. So I didn't want to, hopefully I didn't overcook it. It's right over medium, but it doesn't look too terrible. Usually I cut while I eat, but today I'm going to just cut it into little strips like that, almost kind of reminiscent of a katsu sando. I've been watching people from Japan, going to Japan and whatnot, and that's one of the things that I would love to have is some 7-Eleven food. It sounds weird, but 7-Eleven food was our go-to and a quick pickup when we were constantly moving. So this sort of, the cutting it like this reminds me of a katsu sando, and it almost smells like one. I'm not going to give myself that compliment, but it has that type of odor. It's reminiscent of that. I think, I mean, hopefully it's tender. I mean, this is cooked way more than I'd like. If I'd known it would have did what it did, which I can't tell the future, obviously, but I would have put it in. I wouldn't have put it in the broiler, I don't think. I don't think I would have finished it in there. That was just too much heat. I think once I flipped it, I think I should have let it sit for about 90 seconds. I sound like it's a post-mortem here. It's okay. I'm still going to eat it. I'm not, it could be worse. It could be way worse. But, it sort of is a post-mortem now that I mention it. But either way, I mean, I think with this cut of meat, I see with a bone, I've been cooking bone lately. So it just cooks differently because you have that bone absorbing heat. I don't know. I think the thing without having a bone is to either not finish it in the broiler or perhaps just leave it on the stovetop for 90 seconds of side and done. And also, this is a single piece of meat, so I'm not doing 2 on 1, which would be like I did the last few times also when I'm cooking for both of us. I'm going to grab one of these little pieces. I'm going to spare you my face while I chew and taste. So, I mean, there's worse things in the world, I guess. The texture is very, very nice. The texture is almost buttery. Okay. The flavor and the texture and everything are good. Visually, it doesn't look that great. It looks kind of like a grayish, reddish piece of flesh. But so this is a steak. I think if I'm cooking meat without a bone in it, I really just need to stay on the stovetop, and depending on the thickness, this was a rather thin piece though. I think I could keep it probably 90 seconds aside, and that's it. It should be just nice. The faster it cooks, the better. So
That's okay. I'm good. I'm gonna eat it. It's not the best steak I've ever made, but at least it's not chewy at all. It's still rather tender. That was this steak. I'll be back with more steaks at some point, hopefully.